Hey there, welcome to Community. My name's Tony, and it's so great to have you with us today. If this is your first time joining us, the band is going to kick things off for us in just a minute. Lyrics will be up on the screen so you can engage with the music however you'd like. Sit or stand, however you feel most comfortable. After that, one of our pastors is going to share a message with us. All in all, the service will last for about an hour. If you're new, make sure you head down to the black table in the corner of the cafe on your way out. We've got something just for you. If you're joining us online, wherever you're joining from, thanks for making Community a part of your weekend. Last thing, if you're in the building with us, we've got some awesome programs happening downstairs for your kids. They're safe, secure, and your kids are bound to have a blast. You've still got time to check them in. If you head down to the big blue wall in the main entrance, you can check them in there. And with that being said, we're gonna get started here in just a moment. So find your seats if you haven't already. Here we go.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Community Church. We're going to get started. You're welcome to stand and join us. Your word is a lamp unto my feet, and your way is the only way for me. It's a narrow road that leads to life, but I wanna be on it. It's a narrow road, but the mercy's wide, 'cause you're good on your promise. I'll take you at your word. If you said it, I'll believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you started, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. You spoke, and the chaos fell in line. And I know, 'cause I've seen it in my life. It's a narrow road that leads to life, but I wanna be on it. Yeah, it's a narrow road. The tide is high, 'cause you water the water. I'll take you at your word. If you said it, I'll believe it. I've seen how good it works. If you started, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. If you said it, I'll believe it. I've seen how good it works. You started, you'll complete it. I'll take you at your word. You're good on your promise. You said your love will never give up. You said your grace is always enough. You said your heart would never forget or forsake me. You said your love will never give up. You said your grace is always enough. You said your heart would never forget or forsake me. You said I'm saved, you call me yours. You said my future's full of your heart. You've never failed, so I know that you'll never fail me. I'll take you at your word. You said it, I'll believe it. I've seen how good it works. You started, you'll complete it. I'll He'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Oh, I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope, my firm foundation. He'll never let me down. No, he'll never let me down. So great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting sun, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me.
When I praise your name, my problems look small. 'Cause if it's your fight, this giant will fall. 10,000 battles, you win them whole. When I praise your name, my problems look small. 'Cause when you say mountains move, they do, they do. When you speak to the sea, it breaks into what I call impossible. It's easy for singing with us. You can have a seat.
Hi, I'm Rihanna,
And I'm John.
and we're so glad we can all be together again this morning. If you are new and today's your first day coming in, we're so glad you're here. And if you would like to let us know that you're new and it's your first time coming, we would love to know that. And the easiest way to let us know that is by filling out a Connect form. Once you do that, it's a great way for us to stay connected with you and just keep you in the loop. So 2 ways you can fill out that form. You can fill it out digitally or in person. So digitally, you can do that by going to communitychurch.net/connect, or you can scan the QR codes on the seat backs in front of you.
But if you have a little bit of time after service today, you could also fill that out in person. Downstairs, we've got an info table with a big I'm New sign behind it. Can't miss it. And so if you have a few minutes, we'd love you to just be able to go connect with a team member there. They'll help you fill out that form, answer any questions you have, and then also give you a gift as being our guest here today.
So we just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who partners with us financially. If you were able to check out Lou's end of the year recap video on YouTube, you were able to see that there was a ton to celebrate in 2025, and that's largely made possible by the people who are generous in that way. So we just want to say thank you. And also let you know that if you're looking to learn a little bit more about how the giving works here, or looking to give yourself, you could do that by going to that same link that we've mentioned a few times, or you can visit the giving boxes in the back of the room.
Lastly, we have an event coming up at the end of this month that's going to be really exciting for a select group of people. So how do you know if you're in that select group of people? I'll give you 3 questions. One is, do you love spring cleaning? You look forward to that? Is it on your calendar already? Question number 2 is, do you love the Container Store? If you walk in there and you feel like you can push back against the forces of chaos if you just had a few more bins, then this is the event for you. And number 3, if you grew up and you were like, hey, Tim the Toolman Taylor is a great guy and I'd love to know him and be friends with him, then this is the event for you. We're doing our community church spring cleanup on February 28th from 9 to 11 a.m. We're just gonna get together, we're gonna do some painting, some organizing, we're gonna throw some stuff out, we're gonna move some stuff, we might even do some demo, who knows what's gonna happen. But if those are things that are meaningful to you or energizing to you, then you don't wanna miss this. We'd love you to let us know that you'd like to be there or you're interested in more information by scanning that QR code or going to the Connect page, because it's gonna be a great time. We are gonna go Chip and Joanna Gaines on this place, and you don't wanna miss it.
Yes. That's it for John and I. In just a moment, Lou will be up here to continue the series, The Good Life. So here we go.
All right. Well, it's great to be together again. I woke up this morning and I looked at the weather and I was pretty sure it was about to be the coldest day of my life. Anybody ever have that thought this morning? Yeah. I did a little research. I found out the coldest day of my life was actually in 2016, so it was not. But it feels like it might be the coldest day of my life. If you love cold weather, I'm really happy for you and have been over the past several weeks, but I'm also really looking forward to when there's not so much snow on the ground. Anyway, just had to get that off my chest. If this is your first time with us, my name is Lou. I'm one of the pastors here. I'm so glad you're here. We're in the middle of a series right now. It's called The Good Life, and it's one of those series that's it's helpful if you start in the beginning because we're kind of building from one week to the next. But this is your first time with us. Don't worry. I'll bring you up to speed so you don't feel like you're out of the loop. Like I said, we're talking about the good life, the good life. We're looking at a passage in the Bible. It's from the Gospel of Matthew, the good news about Jesus according to Matthew, chapters 5 through 7. And it covers what people have referred to as the Sermon on the Mount. It's a teaching on a mountain that was given by Jesus, and it has become one of the most influential teachings in the history of the human race. And what it's about is the good life, the good life. Now, when I say the good life, and especially because we're in church, you might be thinking I'm talking about like the ethically upright, moral life. But that's not what I'm talking about. Jesus is talking about the kind of life all of us are after, the kind of life all of us ultimately are searching for. There was a word that they used at the time that Jesus was around. It was the word ashrei. And whenever they saw someone who was living life that was rich in value, or even just the life that people wanted, you'd look at that person and you'd be like, oh, they're ashrei. Like, they've got the family that I want, they're ashrei. They've got the job I want, they're ashrei. They go to the school I want to go to, they're ashrei. It's the idea of who the good life belongs to. The word that we use, though, the way we translate the word ashrei is the word blessed. And unfortunately, it's a little bit of a letdown for us because the word blessed has kind of become the substitute for the word lucky in Christian circles and like church circles, or we use it when people sneeze. And so it kind of lacks the depth that it had when Jesus used it. But this is the idea. It's the idea of the good life. And this is what the whole teaching is about. It's how to become the kind of people that live the good life. If you're someone who's new to church, this is a great series for you to be here for because it's a great snapshot of what it looks like to live the good life. It's worth considering, and it comes from a really influential teaching of Jesus. There's one more idea, though, with the good life and the life that's blessed. The other idea, and really these three things all kind of mean the same thing. There's the good life, the life that's blessed, and then life that embodies the values of the kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven. That's distant language for us, but for them, these three things were all things they were searching for, looking for, and they captured the same idea. So just so you don't forget, we're going to tuck them away right down here so you know that they all go together. In the beginning, Jesus started off, and maybe you're familiar, he says, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the merciful, blessed are, and he gives this big list. What he's saying in the beginning there, in essence, is the good life is available to you. And the reason this matters so much is because he's speaking to people who don't think that the good life is available to them. And maybe that's your story. Maybe you've got some story in your past. And so you feel like, okay, this life that Jesus is talking about, it's for people, maybe people that have got it all together, maybe people that understand a little bit more than I do, maybe people who haven't made the mistakes I've made. And so it's available for them, but not for me. And Jesus starts off, the whole beginning is telling people who think it's out of reach for them that it is not out of reach for them. Like, it is available to all people, people in the church, out of the church, people with stories, people who've done it all right, people who've done it all wrong. It's available to you. And then he paints a picture of the future before he goes into it. He says, in essence, should you choose to embrace this way of life, it's like you'll be like the light of the world. You'll be like the salt of the earth. You'll give this place flavor. There's value to your presence here. And he's telling that to people who don't think there's value to their presence here. In essence, he's saying the good life is available to you, but it's also available to others through you. The goodness of your life could point people to the goodness of your God. He gives them a vision of what could be. And then he dives into it. He's like, all right, here's what it looks like. And because he's a religious teacher, teaching in a community that's very religious, he starts with their religious text, and he tries to reshape the way they understand the role of the rules. They were all about the rules, but a lot of times in obeying the rules, they were completely missing the point. And what we talked about for 2 weeks is that the whole idea behind this, what Jesus makes very clear through 6 case studies, is that the good life, it's about valuing people. It looks like valuing people. Behind all of the rules is the value of people. That's the motive behind all of these rules. And it's so easy to do things for the sake of doing things, to feel like you're doing the right thing, checking off the box. And Jesus is like, no. The good life belongs to those who value people, who see people as valuable. And that for us, I mean, you know this, if you've ever tried to value people, that starts in the heart. You have to stop and intentionally bring yourself there. Like, do some internal work to recognize, to think about the value of the person on the other side of your situation. And so there's this big chunk all about, like, okay, if we're gonna live the good life, we gotta reshape the way we understand the role of the rules. And then he moves on to this second portion. This portion that has to do with how we relate to God, with religious practices. And in this whole section, there's another unlearning and reshaping. So when I was growing up, I was pretty convincing with my parents when I wanted something. Like my mom would say that I would schmooze, or like try to put a spin on things. And so whenever I wanted something, I'd go to them and be like, hey, Mom. And I was pretty good. I was pretty good at like getting what I wanted, getting them to say okay to something maybe they weren't, okay with letting me do. But it got to the point where my mom knew as soon as I opened my mouth if it was going to be one of those conversations. Like I'd just walk in the room and be like, hey, Mom. And she just, right away, she'd just look at me and she'd be like, what do you want? Like, I know this is going to end with you asking for something from me. You're trying to get something out of me. She could sniff it out a mile away. It's funny. I knew I was going to tell you that story. And Thursday, I'm getting ready for the service. I'm at home. My 11-year-old daughter walks through and she goes, hey, Dad. And I looked at her, I was like, what do you want? And I was like, well, look at this. Like, I have passed this on to my child. And sure enough, she wanted something, and I knew, but I didn't give it to her. Anyway, she was trying to get something out of me. The people that Jesus is speaking to are people that are trying to get something out of their religious practices. And he highlights what they're trying to get out of them and really pushes for them to see things differently, to unlearn what they know and what they've witnessed, and to see the idea of religion and relating to God in a pretty radically different way. And here's how he jumps into it. He says, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. Now, to practice your righteousness, what he's saying is be careful not to do your religious practices, the things that are an expression of your faith. Don't do it to be seen by people. For the people he's speaking to, they had 3 pillars that were their religious practices. It was giving, fasting, and praying. And they would do it to be seen by people. In the culture that he's speaking to, it was very much like an honor-shame culture. And so they did a lot of things to be seen by people. Now, there's an important clarification here. He's not saying that you can't do good deeds or spiritual things in a way that's going to cause you to be seen by people, right? He's not saying, like, make sure that when you're doing them, nobody sees. In fact, if you were here when we first started the series, you might remember Jesus said, let your light shine before people so that they will see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. That they'll see the goodness of your life and it'll point to the goodness of your God. And so that stands in stark contrast with this, which is why he's like, be careful. Because pretty quickly, especially to the culture he's speaking to, it can turn into you doing it for the sake of being seen by people. But it's not wrong to be seen by people when it happens. In fact, I would argue, like if we just talk about those 3 things, for me, the most powerful lessons that have been taught to me about giving financially have been from simply watching people give financially. The most important lessons I've learned about praying have been from watching people pray or hearing about how people pray. And the same thing is true with fasting. There's a lot of value in like people seeing stuff like that, but you gotta be careful, he's saying, okay? So important clarification. It's not wrong to be seen, but be careful if you're doing it to be seen. He goes on and says, if you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven, from God in heaven. If this is why you're doing it, you won't receive a reward. Now, at first, it sounds like some like disciplinary action, right? Like if you do this for the wrong reason, you're not getting anything for it, no soup for you, right? But the idea, if you think about this, there's an implication here. The implication is that if it's done for good reason, there's good to be gained from this. Like it's okay to do these religious practices for a benefit. Jesus is leveraging that benefit here. He's just saying, make sure you're doing it for the right thing, for the reward. So what's the reward? Tesla Cybertruck. Just kidding. We'll get to that. Then he gives three examples. And in these examples, he follows the same formula in a very memorable way, and he deconstructs what all of these people are learning from their religious leadership. He says, when you give to the needy, remember it's one of the three pillars. This is a practice of righteousness. When you're giving to them, don't announce it with the trumpets. Don't let everyone know you're doing it, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Now, this word here, hypocrite, this word, like today, this is one of the most common forms of criticism when it comes to people outside the church, talking about people inside the church, right? The idea is that people inside the church don't really do what they say they believe. There's an element of pretending here. This word hypocrite was not originally a negative word. It was the word for actor. Jesus is the first person to use it in a negative way, speaking about religious people who are pretending to be something they're not. In other words, if you've ever struggled with hypocrisy among religious people, you're in good company. Jesus was the first person to coin this term. He's the only person in the entire Bible that uses it, and every time he's talking about religious people, right? He's using it here to talk about the religious leadership. He's saying they're pretending to be someone that they're not. They're pretending to have motives that they don't really have. They do it in the synagogues and on the streets to be seen by others. They're trying to get something out of it. And you know what he says? It's interesting. He doesn't say they don't get anything out of it or shame on them. He says, truly I tell you, they've received their reward in full. Meaning, they got what they were going for. They did it to be seen by people, and they were seen by people. They did it to receive honor from people, and they received honor from people. They got what they were going for. And so Jesus is saying it ends there, though. And then we see this same formula. Again, he says, but when you give to the needy, now he's talking about the people he's speaking to, though. He's like, here's the shift. He's like, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. You don't have to give your left hand a briefing on what the right hand has done, so that your giving may be in secret. And then, your Father, who sees what's done in secret, will reward you. He's saying, there's good to be gained from this. There's something to get out of this. He goes on to the next thing and says, and when you pray, don't be like the pretenders, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. At this time in the ancient world, there were 3 times a day when you would pray, like the whole community would pray at 3 different times of day. And so what they would do is strategically set themselves up so that they were in public places when it was prayer time. Like if prayer time's at 12 noon, at 11:58, they'd be like, all right, time to go take a walk through the town square. Then ding, the bell rings at 12 o'clock. They just happen to be in front of everybody. And so they're making a display of what they're doing. This is what actually happened. And he says, truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. They did it to be seen by people, and they're being seen by people. In other words, he says, they got what they were going for. They were trying to get something out of it, and they got what they were going for. But he says, when you pray, if you're going to be strategic about it, close the door and pray to your Father who's unseen. Go into your room and close the door and pray to your Father who's unseen. And then your Father, who sees what's done in secret, will reward you. There's something to be gained from this. There really is something to be gained from this. And then he goes on, follows the same formula. When you fast, don't look somber as the hypocrites do. They disfigure their faces to show others they're fasting. They're all distraught, bent out of shape. I'm so hungry because I've been fasting for days. They're really trying to make a scene of the whole thing. He's like, don't do that. You know why? He's like, they're doing it to be seen by others. And truly I tell you, he says, they've received their reward in full. In other words, they got everybody what they were. Yeah, all right, very good. Then he proposes the alternative. But when you fast, he says, put oil on your head and wash your face, moisturize, so that It will not be obvious to others that you're fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father, who sees what's done in secret, will reward you. What he's saying, fasting, it's a way of praying with your whole body. It's a way of devoting all of yourself to God. It can be a really meaningful thing if you do it for the right reasons. And he's saying there's something to be gained here, something really valuable to be gained here. But think about what you're going for. It's another aspect of the good life that starts in the heart. Think about what the motive is, because if you have the wrong motive, it could mess up what you get out of it. So maybe you hear that and you're like, okay, it sounds like God is punishing us for not doing things for the right reasons. Try to do the right things, but if I don't do the right things for the right reasons, God's going to be upset with me. Right? It sounds like a very active, intentional God not rewarding you. It's not like that, right? Like think of, anybody ever see The Bachelor? Me neither. All right, so there's this show. I don't know if it's still on. It was on years ago. I used to watch it with my family. And there's somebody who's wants to get married, and so there's all these contestants, and they're all trying to marry the one person, the bachelor or the bachelorette. There's a point in every season, and this happens like 50 times a season, where the bachelorette will say of a certain contestant, she'll be like, I'm just not sure that he's here for the right reasons. Right, if you watch that show, listen for that line, like the right reasons. I'm like, every time I hear that, I'm like, nobody's there for the right reasons. They agreed to be on this show before they met you, and they've already agreed to marry you. Anyway, and so the person doesn't get a rose and get kicked off the show because they're not there for the right reasons. And it can kind of seem like this, like God's like, oh, you didn't do it for the right reason, and so you don't get the reward. That's not what's going on here. The idea is that there's a natural benefit to certain things that we do. There's a natural reward to certain things that we do. And if you do the right thing, but do it for the wrong reasons, you can mess up your ability to receive that reward. Like, imagine you want to get in shape, and you decide to go to the gym every day, 7 days a week for 2 hours. But you really go to the gym to stand next to the girl on the elliptical, and you talk to her for 2 hours, right? And that's what you do. And maybe she ends up liking you. Great. Jesus would say, if she likes you, you received your reward in full. Like, you got what you were going for. But don't expect to walk out and be in shape, right? Because you missed it. Like, you missed what the actual intention of being in the gym is. That's the idea here. There's something going on. And if you look at the language that he's using language of reward, language of treasure, like monetary language that communicates value and the exchange of currency. And here's what he says. Those people who are doing things to be seen by other people, they're storing up for themselves rewards. They're receiving those rewards in full. In light of that, he says, don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal. This is before mothballs were invented, obviously. He says, but store up for yourself treasures in heaven, rewards in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. What he's not saying is that if you do something for the right reasons, you gain like a little gem up in heaven and it's waiting for you in some gigantic storage unit that you're going to see when you die. That's not the idea here. The idea is that there are two ways of living, and you'll see this throughout the rest of the teachings of Jesus. You'll see this throughout the New Testament. There's two ways of living. There are two sets of values that you can subscribe to, and they're in competition with one another. And what he's saying is that this group of religious leaders, they have chosen to live by a certain way, and though they got what they were going for, what they're going for isn't worth it. Their rewards are have an expiration date. They're fragile. They waste away. They ultimately can't deliver on what they promise to deliver. They're doing it for something, they're getting that thing, but that thing is not scratching the itch that they ultimately have. Okay, so here's back to that idea. Now we're entering into abstraction here. If you're not into this, you might want to take a nap. I'll wake you up at the end, but we get to like the big idea, okay? There are two like realms, right? Like Jesus said, there's heaven and there's earth. He's not talking about a place you go to where you die in this situation, right? And each like we can say set of values has different promises. There's the kingdom of earth, or Jesus would say the kingdom of this world, and then there's the kingdom of heaven. Each of these has a set of values and voices, and both of them make the same promises. They both promise things that are central to the human condition, all right? I'll give you 3 examples. These are not all the things, but they're just 3 things. They both promise to give us a sense of value, like we all need to know we're worth something. They all promise to give us a sense of peace. We all want to know it's going to be okay. And they give us a sense of purpose. We all want to know that what we're doing is meaningful and we're progressing toward the goal, right? All of us are after these things. The difference is that they have 2 different ways of getting there. And they're in competition with one another. Like for the people that Jesus was speaking to, they lived in an honor-shame culture. And they believed that their value was in their reputation. Like that's what made them valuable to society. Now this is specific to their culture, but our culture may have like something else here. Like this is changing based on where you live, what time period you live in. For us, it might be performance. We might say how well I do, how much I work, what I accomplish, like that's what gives me my value. We might say appearance, how I look, that's what gives me my value, right? However, Jesus would say, and the other writers of the New Testament would say, no, actually your value is not in your performance, it's not in your reputation, it's in your identity. It's not actually up to you to prove what you're worth because they would argue what Jesus has done has shown you your worth. And this is unchanging. This is enduring and priceless. It cannot be taken and it cannot be shaken. All right, I'll give you 2 other examples here, right? Like peace, right? Like there's one, like the kingdom of the earth, the voices and values of earth would say, okay, well, your peace comes from external circumstances. Like get all your situations square, like everybody buckle up, put a helmet on, and you'll have peace. As long as everything's just right. And it's circumstantial, external peace. And as long as you can provide and control enough, you'll have peace. But then there's this other like set of voices and values that what Jesus would call the kingdom of heaven. I would say, no, actually your peace doesn't come from external circumstances, it comes from an internal sense of trust. Like it's not up to you to provide, it's up to you to trust in God's provision. It's not up to you to control everything, it's for you to trust in God's ability to control. It's internal trust, not external circumstances. If we look at purpose, right? It's like, well, some like societies would say that your purpose ultimately is to accumulate as much as you can. He who dies with the most toys wins. And the more you accumulate, the more you'll feel like, all right, I'm satisfied and I'm achieving my goal in life. Or maybe it's not accumulation for you, maybe it's achievement for you. The higher I climb up on the ladder, like the more purpose I'll feel here. And the kingdom of heaven, according to Jesus, would say, no, actually, like what we're going for here is transformation. It's about who you're becoming. And ultimately, that's the road that's going to lead you to a deeper, realer sense of satisfaction. And so both of these things, they're in competition with one another. The kingdom of this world, like the crowd, the norm, and the kingdom of heaven. And one of these, according to Jesus, one of these is enduring and priceless. No moth or vermin can like destroy it. No thief can steal it. It's unshakable. It's untakeable. It's enduring. And the other is fragile. It's temporary and it will fall apart and ultimately cannot deliver on this. Like if you find your value in your reputation, all you gotta do is mess up once big in front of people and it's over. You're worthless. If you find your value in your performance, all you gotta do is lose your job and it's done. Circumstances, I don't have to tell you how fragile circumstances are, right? And so Jesus would say, this is weak, And they're going for that, but ultimately that can't deliver like what they're ultimately looking for. And so we can choose, and we see this all throughout Scripture. We can like choose to live under the like values and voices of one or the other, but they're in competition. And so let me ask you, in your everyday life, your moment by moment reality, which of these is more a reality in your life? Like, which of these actually seems to be more true of you? Like let's say there's a spectrum, okay? Here. Like, if you're living over here, you would say, like, okay, maybe those are true, I don't know, but honestly, like, my value is in my reputation, or my value is in my performance. That is where I live. If I lose my reputation, I lose my value. Right? Like, that's where I live. Or maybe you'd say you're over here. Like, no, really? Like, my value is in who God says I am. It's in my identity. Nothing can shake that. Appearance is great. Performance is great. Like, all that stuff, reputation, great. They're good, but it's not where I find my value. Maybe you'd say you're all the way over there. Maybe you're on a slider somewhere, you know? Maybe if you're like me, in the morning, you start out over here, you know? But then you, like, drive on Long Island, and you're like, over here. And then all of a sudden, you're a little shakeable and takeable, right? And things get a little, right? The question is, if this is a spectrum, and we're all on here someplace, if I honestly am right here, how do I get to here? Where this is not just something I know, it's not just a Bible verse, it's not just like something I'm trying super hard to believe to be true, but it is a reality through which I see the world. How do I get here if I'm here? Like, my head is here, my heart is here, but I want to be over here. Jesus, to use his language, and hopefully this will like make sense of what he's getting at. To use his language, he would say, this here, this is where your heart is. It's somewhere over here. And so he says to like close this section of teaching, right? He's talking about storing up treasures in heaven or on earth, incremental investments in one place or another. And he says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It's in those little things that you begin to move one way or the other. Think about it like this, all right? If you're a visual person, and my little spectrum didn't do it. Imagine it's like this scale, right? This is the scale of your heart. This is what he's saying to the culture he's speaking to. They lived in an honor-shame culture, right? And what he's trying to tell them, he's like, look, if this is like earth and this is heaven, he's like, every time you give and you announce it with trumpets, what you're doing is you are teaching your heart that your value is in your reputation and you're storing up treasure there. Every time you pray on the street corner so that people will see, you are teaching your heart that your value is in being honored by other people. Every time you fast and you got to announce it to everyone and look all bent out of shape, what you're really doing is reinforcing to the deepest part of you that this is where your value is. But all of a sudden, if you decide you're going to intentionally starve that and you give, but it's just between you and God. Like, you don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And so nobody knows about it. What you're doing is like the reward is like you're storing up treasure and doing something internally to your heart. And at first, it probably feels like that, like no movement. But then you start to do other things. Like maybe you start to pray and it's not because someone told you to, but it's a private thing. And you go into your closet and shut the door and it's just between you and God. And you develop a private life with God. Like something begins to change within you. And you do something as extreme as fasting, like not eating for a day, but you're doing it just between you and God. And all of a sudden, something is starting to shift because you're living as if God is real. And you begin to experience him as if he is. Something's happening within you. For them, there were those 3 religious practices, but I would argue it doesn't have to be those 3. The idea is to start doing things that are just between you and God. And so maybe for you, like maybe praying for you, it's so distant and foreign and weird and you don't even know where to start. Maybe you just start to do something it's a little bit of light to the world. Like maybe your neighbor's trash is all over the street early one morning and you decide to pick it up. And maybe he doesn't even know there was ever a mess there. And maybe nobody knows that it was you that cleaned it up. But it's just something between you and God. And you start to live as if there really is a God who really sees what you're doing and really does care. And the goodness of your life begins to reflect the goodness of your God. Maybe you write a note to somebody, and there's no way they're gonna know that it's from you. And there's no way you can get credit for doing it, but you start to do things that are just between you and them. What Jesus is saying is you are adding weight. You are moving your heart into this direction. God begins to seem real. His voice begins to carry weight. And this voice, it's like someone turns up the volume and the voice of the crowd begins to get quieter. It does something to your heart. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The big shift, though, what he's doing is trying to teach these people that it is not about the practices. It's about the person they're developing a relationship with. The good life, it's built on relationship, not on religion. He's trying to get them to start living and cultivating a relationship with their Father in heaven. You know, it's interesting, these people that he was speaking to, a lot of them would have had a huge chunk of the Bible memorized. Many of them would have had the whole Old Testament memorized, which is actually most of it. The New Testament isn't very much. And in there, in the whole New Testament, 5 times, God is referred to as the father of an individual. 5 times. And every time, that individual is the king of Israel. Every time. And so it's to make a point that God is the father of the king who is in charge of this nation. In the passage I just read to you, Jesus refers to God as Father 9 times alone. And throughout the Gospels, like 4 of the books in the New Testament, Jesus refers to God as Father 165 times. He is trying to dramatically shift the way people understand religion to relationship. It's not about the practices, it's about the person behind the practices. And this for them would have been radical. And this is what it does. It starts to change something within us. But for a lot of us, it takes some unlearning. We start learning that it's not about checking the boxes. It's not about doing the thing. It's not about obeying the rules. It's about cultivating a relationship with a father who cares deeply for you. And we're going to talk more about how to do that next week. But for this week, I want to leave you with a challenge. Especially if you're someone who's new to church, or if your faith has gotten stale. Maybe you've been in for a while, but it feels stale. This week, would for 7 days, one time every day, in a big way or a small way, you did something that was just between you and God. Did something that was in secret. You start to live as if God is real and really cares. Maybe it's picking up your neighbor's trash. Maybe it's writing an anonymous note. Maybe it's doing something nobody knows about, no one can see. Maybe it is praying. Maybe you're not used to praying, but you just pray what you got, right? You just give it a shot. And you do it during your lunch hour. You get away. Nobody knows what you're doing, but you go out of your way to do something that's just between you and God. Do that consistently for 7 days and watch. See if it does something to you internally. Like if it actually changes the sense of God's realness and presence to you throughout the rest of the week. I think the best way to start experiencing God as real is to start living as if he is. You start to see it does something to your heart when you start to live as if you have a Father who sees what's done in secret. And while I can't tell you exactly what the reward is, Jesus doesn't define it, and so I'm not going to try to define it. What I can tell you is that living in a way where your value is unshakable and untakeable, your peace is not dependent on circumstances, when those things start to feel real in the deepest part of you, that is rewarding. And that's something that's worth going for. Let's pray. God, you've invited us to live the good life, and you've made it so clear that the good life is available to us in spite of our story, in spite of our past, in spite of our present even, in spite of our doubts and failures. God, there is a life that is rich and meaningful that we're invited to embrace. And for some of us, it's hard to know even where to start, what to do, where to go. And so would you help us this week to start in a small way? Would you give us opportunities, and would you get our attention when you're giving them to us? Give us opportunities to do small things that do something big internally. Small things that are just between you and us. God, help us to begin developing a private life with you and to see how it does something to the way that we see the world, how it changes the reality in which we function. Help us to see your goodness in all of it as we follow you to the good life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We're going to sing one more song. You're invited to stand and join us.
No other king would kneel to wash my feet, prepare a table for his enemies, lay down his glory for the least of these. No other king would touch a leper's skin, open his arms to let the outcast in, respond with mercy in the face of sin.